I taught her sisters, Lydian, who have become pastors, Macharia himself, people like Isaac Kanyinge, who we let alone, who ended up being my host when I first came to the United States in Atlanta and introduced to Beulah Heights Bible College. All those are people whom we met in college, and we were in the same Christian Union. And when you get time, a viewer, just check on my YouTube at Bishop David Munyiri Thagana.
Yes.
And follow a series that I'm doing there, which is called The Power of Relationships. I've done a series on the power of relationships. Series 1, 2, 3, and how to break from relational poverty. What I'm trying to talk about there is, when you hear me talk about people we were with in college, and then we are still connected today in ministry, and when now I am seated here with Anthony, whom I preached to in Tigoni in 1995. Relationships are meant to last, because you never know where they lead you to, and you also don't know how the synergy in these positive relationships, how it leads to changing lives, and how it leads to your destiny. Because everybody's destiny is connected to another person's in one way or the other. Everybody you have met in life, if you look and examine and be sensitive enough, you will learn that that relationship must have been helpful somewhere. So sometimes in a negative way, because somebody may have hurt you, so that you end up learning how to deal with people who are hurt. Somebody may have become your enemy, so that the Lord may prepare a table before those enemies.
In those series, do you address how to deal with people who hurt you?
It is a continuation of series. I haven't heard of that, but I'll be doing that.
Okay.
I am laying the foundation on the power of relationships, beginning with Jesus valuing relationships, telling us about loving our neighbors, So the foundation I have laid so far in that series is that our relationships begin with relationship with God and relationship with one another. In the 2 commandments. And then they will build out of, from that, they will build to the Great Commission, to going to take the gospel, which is what GOA is about, or rather the ministry that I serve the Lord with. So I transitioned from being a teacher to, I served in Karema Girls for 10 years, from 1988 to 1998.
That is the only school you were posted?
That is the only school that God had my destiny connected with. It is going to have several chapters in my book, because the Lord did many things. And some of the girls that the Lord connected me with in the school, their life today has something to do with what God helped me to develop and to grow there. And God has blessed most of them. They are all over the world. Sometimes I go to some place and say, oh, teacher, here I am in this place, I'm there. Actually, I owe a number of them a trip, especially in Seattle. In my Facebook, once in a while, I say, so-and-so, I'm so-and-so. Teacher, I'm in Seattle. Please come and visit me. I've never been to Seattle. I think I'll be going to Seattle next year. So all those friends, I will put them together.
Yes.
And I have many friends in Seattle. I have many friends there.
I know.
And but I have never been there.
Yeah.
I am surprised, actually, and I was thinking about that last night. How come that the Lord has brought me to Oregon, where I've never been, where I never knew anybody here except you and Reverend Henry Duty. I think you're the only 2 people I knew here. And now I have come here before Seattle, where I know many friends, where actually some of the people that have invested heavily in their lives are in Seattle, but I've never been there. So God has different ways of working.
Yeah, the way I see it, do you remember first the book of John?
Yes.
When you read about confessing, and then few days later or few months later, a preacher preach to you about it,
Yes.
I think you should ask God also about Oregon.
Oh Lord, yes,
Yeah.
I'm very sensitive. One of the people in Atlanta yesterday before I left told me, Bishop David, God must be having a plan for you because going to a place far like that is so far and you've never been there. God must be having a plan. And so he was telling me, please, when you come back, because I'll go back to Atlanta on Saturday, spend some time and share with me what that plan was or why the Lord
Yes.
took you there. So I am not taking it rightly.
Yes.
Plus the fact that GOA theme for 2024 is open doors, year of open doors. So to me, it's not a coincidence.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
it is,
just
it
by,
is not, yeah.
by feeling my itinerary here. No. And even being in this studio today and talking to all the people who are listening today, it is not by accident. It is part of my divine connection with my divine purpose for what God wants to do. Not only here
Yes.
in Oregon, but also anywhere else.
Now, Bishop, I just want to ask you this question. I know you have many branches of churches, and for the last few months and weeks, you have been ordaining bishops. Kindly, like I want to give you like 5 minutes. Tell us how many churches do you have in every region, and the blueprint for churches. Then, so that we may go to the ministry of my heart.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And before I go there, let me more specifically summarize the earlier question you asked me about the transition. So I resigned from being a teacher in Karema Girls. I wrote a letter in 1997, 1st of September, and I gave 3 months because the TSC required 3 months notice, so that from January 1st January 98, I would I went to East Africa School of Theology to again study theology, though I had already studied education. So my transition was from a teacher to a student, and that opened new relationships of pastors and leaders through theological training. I would go back. But during all that time, remember, I have already started GOA in 1991, and now 1998 I'm going to Bible school and also taking care of the church. And one of the churches within that period is the Donyonjero, it's the Karema Church, it's the Geta Church. Geta Church, which will be celebrating their anniversary on December 20th this year. 31st anniversary.
Geta Church is like Laodicea Church too. It is not, for me, the way I saw it, even when we were in Karema,
yes,
it was like, it is not a rich church, but it has a heart.
And I want you to, that's very kind of you, and I'll make sure that the pastor and the people there understand that. And I would like you to put it in your diary that that weekend of Christmas this year, we will all be in Geta celebrating 31 years of that church.
Wow.
And during that time, we will be mentioning people like your friend George, and people like your friend Muhori.
Yes.
Those people who contributed towards the starting of that church.
Okay, yeah.
So, and we will also be raising money on that Sunday of Christmas to build them a permanent church. Their church has filled to capacity. The other day I was there, people are sitting outside. The gospel has accepted GOA in Geta. And so we even be raising money to buy the next plot.
Wow.
and build a bigger church. That's how we want to mark 31 years for Geta. And so but now to your question. So I transitioned. It was not easy. It was very difficult. I had young children. I didn't know what exactly that means. When you give me another opportunity, or in the book,
yes,
you can read about why I wanted to go to Bible school, because I wanted to start meeting people of faith, people who say we are eating faith. Because I was used to salary as a teacher. I had not been used to staying. I don't know how I'll pay my house. I don't know how I'll pay my school fees.
With that bicycle.
Miracle one. Now you are taking me back to other story. Miracle one, believing that miracle two is coming.
Yes.
And that bicycle. So that was the transition. And those are powerful chapters that will appear in the book when we write it. Or when we get another opportunity to have this kind of interview. But to your question of church, so why did I even before I come to your question, why did I see the need to start a church? I'm one of those people, as I have told you, who was raised and grew in evangelistic teams. Those days, evangelistic teams and churches were not seeing eye to eye. They were not seeing eye to eye. We used to think denominations are demons, or they have nothing to do with, they are just about sitting in the church. That was the evangelistic message those days. But after doing the evangelism and going all over the place, I just started asking myself when I was still teaching, where is the harvest that we have been getting every time we go to this place or that place? Where is the harvest? Because many people would come to Christ, but when we later on ask the one who hosted us, they would not know where they are. So I thought, like, we are just playing a game. We go somewhere, we spend our money, we have very little money, we are all newly employed, and we sponsor a whole week crusade. We get tired, we sleep on the floor, we get rained on, hundreds of people come to Christ. But later on, when I begin asking, where are those people? I remember one time we went to Nyanza, hosted by a church called Christian Outreach. The pastor was called James somebody, a ruler from that region. So many people came to Christ, so many people. Later on, when we tried to do follow-up, finding out, he thought that we want to take control because God had given us favor, and he really was not very kind to us. He was even wondering why we are asking. We were only invited as an evangelistic team to preach. And then he made a statement, which is actually what propelled me to go and start GOA that time. He said, he said in Kiswahili, uchungu wa mwana aujuaye ni mzazi, nyinyi ndio mnajua uchungu wa wale watu mlizaa hapa. He was trying to say that for him, and that was not kind of him, but that's what he said. He said, for me, he said, for me and my church here, we did not experience the birth pains of the souls that you are now asking us to follow, or you're asking us to disciple children whom you gave birth yourselves and you left, and you are the people abandoned. You are the people who should be feeling the pain. So when I thought about that statement, to start with, I didn't feel very, very nice about it. It was harsh. But it is a kind of hard truth. That you know, sometimes somebody speaks hard truth, and they don't speak it in the Ephesian way, Ephesian way of speaking the truth in love. It is truth, yes, but it is not spoken in love. So I didn't feel good about it. But later on, when I thought about it, I said, well, if our work as an evangelistic team is to give birth and to leave the children to die in the hands of people who say they never experienced the birth pangs, and truly they never experienced, because as an evangelistic team we would raise the money ourselves, we would do the planning, we would pray and fast. They were only going to receive us, and then we go there, we preach ourselves, we do everything, and then we leave them with the souls. So he was actually honest in saying they had no financial pain, they had no pain of being rained on. So I agreed with him eventually, and I said, I want to do ministry that is sustainable. I prayed and asked the Lord. Here I am as a secretary of ISET. I represent the whole Nyandarua County. I have already introduced my staff, my teachers, and the people who are getting saved in Karima to 8, and we are one of the largest ISET chapters. But if they hear or they ask me for accountability of those souls, and then I tell them what Pastor James have told me, I'll break their hearts. I said, I don't want to do that. Instead, I want a sustainable way of containing and conserving the harvest. So we prayed together with them at Karema, and we said, we are going to start a church, GOA church. And we prayed and we started GOA church. 1991, another chapter, there was no place to start the church. So we started in a bar called UP, upstairs. It was the only small hall in Donyonjero. And people did not understand how these young people, teachers, can start a church in a bar. So they thought we were actually just drunkards. And they would come there wanting to drink. And they would find us jumping and singing. And they would say, today's beer is very good. People are getting drunk very quickly. So before they knew it, we would preach a short sermon, invite them they receive Jesus. Guess who was among the first people to receive Jesus in the bar? It is Stephen Karanja Kemiti, a headmaster of a school near the bar, who was coming to drink because he was so frustrated in life. And he came and found it's not a bar, because the owner of the bar told us to have the bar from morning up to 1, and we pay 700 shillings, which he calculated equivalent of the beer that he was selling on Sundays from morning to 1. So I would take my salary to start with and carry this salary, and Catherine, the late Catherine Modoni, and we would place the 700 before we got more members, more people, and we would pay. So Stephen Karaja Committee comes in, and he received Jesus, and as one of the first fruits of GOA in 1991, today he is the bishop of all GOA churches in Kinangop, and we just ordained him the other day, which takes me to your question on I am ordaining people. Yes, because we are passing the baton. I think now you know my age now. I am at a point where I'm thinking more about legacy. I'm now thinking about how you people can take up this baton and
just fetching wisdom
and learn with it. And that's why I'm also very excited this morning to be in this show when I see that your show is humanitarian community connect.
We are connecting people who are humanitarian to the people who have the resources and they want to help and they don't know where to help.
Anthony, you don't know how much joy that brings to me this morning, because to see you thinking humanitarian, I may not even know much about the connections that you are doing, but to see you thinking humanitarian, because that is my prayer, that anybody who ever came into contact with me in my life, that if they don't get any other dose, that they just get the dose of serving others and making life better for others, connecting resources with the needs.
Yes.
And that's what I feel God has called me to do in Africa. And that is what takes me around Africa. Connecting people with the resources, with the needs in Africa.
The real need.
The real need.
Yeah.
The real need.
Yes.
I will connect the need of a street child in Kenya to a person who have only $39 a month, and they are saying that if you can give me a child, one of the children like this one, this is Gladys Ayenai Aitie, and you can tell by names that this is not a Kikuyu. When I connect a person who can afford $39 a month to sponsor Gladys, so that Gladys can be able to eat, so that Gladys can be able to be taken care of in a home where he is loved. In the 8 children's homes that GOA has, that we are managing, where 790 children have passed through our homes. And some of those that we took first have gone through education, they have completed, they have come back, they are managing those institutions, they are the teachers in the schools. When I meet a person who says, well, tell me more about Gladys, or tell me how I can sponsor Gladys, I may never come to Kenya, and I've met many people like that. Last Sunday, I met 12 people who said, I want to sign up to support Gladys, to support children like Gladys. This is just an example. I have 324. 324 sponsorships of $39 each.
Bishop, the viewers might want to know how comes we left you as a pastor. Now you have homes, and we understand many churches, they don't do what you are doing.
Thank you, Anthony, and you are really helping me get back to track because I get excited about what the Lord is doing, because I was talking to you about starting GOA, and I was telling you that when I was praying in 1988 in Karima, 89 and 90, those 3 years I was telling God, I do not just want to start any other church or any other denominations, because there are many. Even though there were not many in that area, I was telling God, I want to start a movement. Even if I did not have to make it a church. Because I was seeing many churches, and I was wishing that I had the opportunity to do things differently. I wanted to build a movement that will do things differently, that will meet the human needs.
Oh, yes.
I wanted to meet an organization that will have the legal framework, and that was the reason for registering GOA. Because if there was another way of doing it without necessarily creating another church or another ministry or another denomination, I'm the kind of person who would have loved to just do it alongside other people. But here I am in a place where even the gospel is a challenge. No Christian Union, no church, orphans are here, unleashed people groups are here, and I needed a legal framework of this movement. So I started GOA to form that legal movement, legal framework movement that would enable me meet the needs of orphans, meet the needs of unleashed people groups. In those days, there were 36 people groups in Kenya those days that had no access to the gospel. They had no Bible in their own language. They had no church near them that they would reach to. My heart was for those. I wanted to reach the many young people, the youth, who had found the church to become irrelevant, like I had also found the church to be irrelevant. And that's why I'm saying I would have been the last person to register a church, because I was finding the church extremely irrelevant. Because what do I mean by this? The first time that I went to a nearby church as a teacher, in that area of Kinangop, the church that I thought I would connect with, I went with the sisters in the Lord that I was discipling, and we were going for Acacia. And just to get at the door there, the women who had long dresses and who had tied their head up to the ears point, they came out. I thought they were coming to usher us, but they came with lassos. Lasso, I don't know what you call lasso, or you understand what I mean by lasso. Shukaire. And they started tying them because they thought their dresses were shorter than the length that theirs had. And they had headscarves. They started tying them. You can see the drama. Here we have come. We are in a school setting. We minister to girls whose heads are exposed in school uniform, who have lead skirts and green sweaters and white blouse. That is the uniform. But in this setting that we have come, of a church setting, that kind of dress is not acceptable. In my mind, I started saying, so in the mind of this church, all this Karema girls' church would not be considered church because they are in skirts, and they are not tying their heads, and that is what was my church for 1988, 89, and I have already led youth around who are also finding the church relevant, and they are waiting for the Bible study in the school, in my house in Karema, so that they can come in. And now they don't dress that way. They don't. So I ask myself, what is all this? I'm telling you, those sisters were so embarrassed, and I was very embarrassed myself. And we have gone for Acacia, we have gone to look for a church outside the school, which we can connect with more, so that we can reach out that area. Now that is when God confirmed to me that we needed a church that is relevant to the youth, relevant to every other person, a church that is friendly. And that's how we started GOA there, to meet that need, a church that would focus on missions, taking the gospel, because I was coming from the background of evangelistic team and I believed in missions. People who would take the gospel to the unleashed people groups. And thank God, by the grace of God, now we have been able to establish, to take the gospel to the Thagana people. I went there in October 2004, and when we were there, long story, another chapter, we found a missionary John, who later on became the Member of Parliament of Thagana Central, Honorable John Lodepe Nakara, and he drove me. He was working with Share International, and I think Share International, the director here, Munyiri, is somewhere here I think in the States. So Munyiri, the director of Share International, would come with teams to Thagana, and they would support Share International. They still have a lot of work there. So when I went there to find out how to reach the people, and I was asking who else is there, whom can I partner with, I was directed to Share International, and I found John Nakara, who later on became a Member of Parliament for Thagana Central. And he drove me, together with one of his staff called Joshua, who is serving now in the county administration of Thagana. They drove me to a place called Akatuman. Akatuman, people were naked, they were hungry, they were helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. They had never seen a church anywhere at all. It is very close to Erie Springs. And we preached the gospel. I've never preached to such many naked people. And it was it broke my heart. When I look at them and I see elderly men sitting on their stool and they're naked. And I am not used to that even from a cultural standpoint. So I would preach looking up. And I was preaching John 3:16, for God so loved the world. And then I remember that's not right. I turned this side, for God so loved the world. I don't want to see the nakedness. Long story short, that area, we got a breakthrough. Now we have a school there, big school that is producing doctors and nurses, and primary school. We have a church, we are reaching that community. We went to another village, Naboropus, and we have another school there and a church. We have sunk boreholes, many boreholes in Thagana. We have 26 GOA churches among the Thagana people. We have two primary schools there.
Wow.
We have adults. The adults started feeling jealous. Can you imagine a culture today, in this time and age, where the parents are competing with their children, and they are telling me, Bishop, you brought the school and educated our children. Now they are speaking English. What about us? Why can't you? So that led us to starting GOA adult literacy. And so we have adult literacy in there, where children come in the morning, in the afternoon, the adults come. The last year the adults performed very well. Can you imagine an adult sitting the same with doing homework with their children, and then one of them got 250 marks, and it was a celebration of the whole village. In KCP, an adult, father and mother. So we, I wanted a ministry that will meet needs like those. Then we went to Samburu, same, great work. I'll be ordaining, back to your question of the ordinations. From here, when I go back, on the 26th Saturday of this new month, I'll be ordaining Bishop Daniel Waweru as the Bishop of GOA Mount Kenya region. He is located in a place called Mukindori in Kirowea, in Kirinyaga, Mukindori. That's where we will be doing the ordination there on the 26th. And then the next month, 16th of November, we'll be ordaining Bishop James Susanga in Maryland as the bishop of GOA churches in Maryland. We have 18 churches in Maryland among the Samburu people, because that's what God was calling us to do. So we'll be ordaining him. And then we will close the year ordaining Bishop Paul Ogutu in Nyanza, our GOA Jera church. We have many churches in Nyanza, the bishop of that area. The goal of this year was to ordain a bishop every month except January, to take care of the work in their regions. And God has blessed us. We have managed to do that every month except January, which we did not want to put, because we made these decisions in our December summit last year. Every year we have a summit of leaders where we make decisions. And this year the summit is going to be in Naivasha.
Yes.
And we make Naivasha declarations from there of what we're going to do in the next year.
I think, Bishop, we're going to have another interview with you, because you have not talked about your work in Africa.
No, I haven't. I haven't.
You have not told us how many homes you have, how many children have passed through those homes.
Can I summarize that?
Yeah. It is good, but we will find a time and come and give us, give us the whole. The whole. We don't want half-baked numbers. We want the whole thing, because we want the whole picture. Because I know many children, and some of them even have completed universities, and because I think the first home, it was open when 19 what?
In
2000.
In the 2000, yes.
2000.
We started with one boy.
One boy. That means there is somebody who is in university or have completed university from those homes.
Not just somebody, but he has graduated with a Bachelor of Education. He has graduated with CPA finalist. He has decided he will not seek jobs, though he can. He came back. He is managing one of our children's homes. His name is Josephat Mukubwa. And Josephat Mukubwa is the manager of Tumaini. He's managing the home. He's managing GOA Educational Center, the primary section, GOA High School, with his education. And he has grown in the same home. We have, in my office in Nairobi, Kahawa and Dani, I have 14 staff who represent the various areas.
Great team.
One of them is, his name is Cairo. Samuel Cairo is a young man that we raised through Tumaini. He is the one in charge of our video and all the videos. So anybody who goes to Bishop David Munyiri Thagana YouTube, all the videos you find there will be the work of Cairo. We brought that young man in our homes. Now he is serving internationally from Nairobi through the camera. We have Simon Dirango. Simon Dirango we also brought up in Tumaini. He is also part of the 14 in my office in Nairobi. He is the director of mental health. You remember I told you I have a chapter on my own life on mental health? And I think anybody listening to my story can begin to connect the dots, what I'm doing today with some of the experiences that the Lord enabled me to go through, most of which were painful, but they formed a foundation for changing the life of other people. So Simon Dirango is dealing with the mental health issues and he grew in our homes. We also have John Waidanje, who is assisting in the compassion area. He also grew in one of our children's homes. And many others who are serving in other homes elsewhere. We have Solomon Muragori, who is serving manager in one of our orphanages, plus many others whom God has blessed. But I agree with you. One session like this is not enough to tell everything. But let me summarize it this way, Anthony. Today,
before you do that, beat the drum.
Beat the drum. Thank you. That is
why I'm saying we need a session.
Yes.
Talking about homes only.
Yes, we do. We do. And each home is a story.
Each home is a story.
Each home is a story.
How many homes?
The homes are 8. The homes are 8. 790 children have passed through our hands. Some of them, whom I'm talking about, have finished. They are working. They are connecting with their family life, and they have discovered their purpose. Right now, as we speak, I have children who need 324 sponsorships of $39 each to be able to feed and remain in those homes, because that is the way that that is the way that we are able to take care of those children. So and God has blessed us so much that we have created an organization here in the United States. And the organization we have here in the United States is called GOA USA. GOA USA is the one that helps us to process the donations of the children and any other donation. If you went to the www.goausa.org, that would give you a link where you can choose a child and you sponsor the child right there. Even if you don't meet with me in person, just going to www.goausa.org, you will find a child there of your choice and you will sponsor that child. If you went to the goaweb.org, the general website for the entire organization, GOA International, you will find all the things that have opportunities for you to be involved. And that is why it's a great thing for us to be on this media show, because as I said earlier, I feel called to connect somebody with the resources who wants to make a difference, to connect them with a need in Africa. Anthony, this year is a year of open doors for GOA, and God has opened many doors for us.
Yes.
As we speak, GOA has a presence in the entire continent.
Yes.
Half of the continent. Tomorrow we can get into any nation in Africa. We have 27 nations there, half of the 54 where we are connected with. This year,
yes,
I started my ministry in Zanzibar. A place that people only know because of being a tourist destination, but don't know the struggles that the church is going through in Zanzibar. That's why I'm saying those are other chapters. And where we were doing the training in a church, that church has been destroyed 3 times. 3 times. They built it, permanent church with stones. Our friends, I don't want to mention them here, our friends and who conflict with us in matters of faith, they come and pull it down. They come and build it again. They come and pull it down.
Now, this is which country?
Zanzibar. That's where I started.
And you have not mentioned Congo.
I have not mentioned Congo. I was talking about this here because I realized that that you want me to summarize. Congo, we have GOA Congo. In GOA Congo,
I saw that.
The headquarters of GOA in Congo is in Goma. In Goma, that's where our headquarters is for GOA in Congo. Legally registered and operating in the entire Congo. Our bishop there in Congo is called Bishop Varale Kitwana. Bishop Varale Kitwana is located in Goma. He is a man that God has given a lot of influence in the whole of Congo. His background, he used to be very much in the office of the governor, and he used to be a right-hand man of the governor. So, and that's why I said every experience is important. So, and his son, Paul Shimbari Kitwana, has decided, a very brilliant boy, the parents wanted him to do biology and study other lines, but he said, I want to go to a Bible school and serve this vision of GOA. The young man has just graduated last month in theology in Goma.
Wow.
And
I followed you on your Facebook, and I found there was a time you wanted to go and baptize people. I can't remember which country. You told us to pray for you because you don't know if you're gonna go and baptize them and never come back.
That is my lifestyle. It is not one time, and I thank you for that time that you followed, but I survive through the prayers of some whom I know, some whom I don't know, prayers of friends like you. I survive through the support of prayer, of finances from partners like you around the world, and I have been exposed to some kind of those kind of nations. I was telling you about Zanzibar. Even to get there and for me to complete 1 week training, it is risky, very, very risky. From there, I went to Rwanda. During that week, when I was in Rwanda, just this year, 1,400 churches were closed. 1,450 churches were closed.
In Rwanda?
In Rwanda, because...
Was Goa one of them?
Goa was one of them.
Oh.
And but we are working hard, and through the support that we will receive in this trip, we will be able to meet the requirements. The government in Rwanda wants high level buildings, like what you have here in the States. That's all they want. They want you build a nice big church, beautiful. You put air condition, like you have here in the States. You put parking, nice parking, like you all have here in the States. You put air condition. You put alesters for lightning. They want you to have a spacious, the church building to be on a spacious, at least 1 acre of land. They to put your they want the pastors to have degrees in theology. Ironically, you know Africa, and people are struggling with food. They are struggling with shoes like I was struggling. So when you tell them to go and pay theology to be trained, they as much as they are called, they don't understand what you're talking about. Others, they went into ministry like I did. Fortunately, I was a teacher. But you see, I still needed to go to East Africa School of Theology in Buruburu, even though I was a teacher. But how many people of the pastors that I know in Africa can afford to resign from their job where they get payment like I did, then they go to East Africa School of Theology and pay for theology so that they can meet a requirement of the government to have a degree in theology. And the reason I was able to do that is because I had saved some money as a teacher, plus as I continued casting my vision, many people started coming alongside me. Even when I decided that I want to focus on the area of leadership, because the continent of Africa suffers from leadership crisis, whether it is political leadership, whether it is church leadership. The African continent has bigger leadership challenges than even economic. And that is why you'll find that when a leader, like a president of a country in Africa, when their term of office is almost over, the quickest thing is to mobilize people to change the constitution so that they can remain longer. Because if they remain with the constitution that is existing, then they have already completed their terms of service. Now those problems may look like they're in the politics, but they are inherent in our African tradition, whereby once we sit on a chair of leadership like this, it is until death do us part. We do not want to leave. We do not want to move. So to summarize the continent of Africa, we have a presence in 27 nations out of the 54. Yeah. I went to Zanzibar this year. I went to Rwanda. Churches are being closed. All they need is somebody who will fund them financially to meet the requirements of the government. And this is not only in Rwanda, even in Kenya. Those who are watching this from Kenya, you know the panic that is there right now about the churches being closed, the regulations, all that. But when you look at those regulations, as much as we are opposing them, and as much that personally I am in the forefront of leading the Federation of Evangelical Indigenous Christian Churches to say no to those kind of requirements in our country, because we know the danger that they could bring even if they are well intentioned, even if they mean well, we know the danger they could bring if they are actually in the hands of the wrong people. So we are outrightly and without any apologies saying no to those kind of regulations and those policies. As much as we participated in the presidential task force and gave our views, we feel like we are entrusting the church in the hands of non-believers through the Mungatana bill to bring in some regulations, which is a recipe for curtailing our freedoms in the future. However, this is a very delicate ground because we also know the dangers that are brought by people who have not gone through theological training.
Like Shakahora.
We know that, like Shakahora and many others. Shakahora is only one because it hit the international news.
Yes.
There are many others. In fact, there are worse things that are going on, performed by our own brothers and sisters.
Even here in America.
In the ministry.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, and this is what I feel called to, in the entire continent of Africa, is how do we take the goodwill of a person who never got the opportunity because of circumstances beyond their control to go through education. They never got the opportunity to get that theological education. They cannot today prioritize paying theological school to get a degree, or even they may not be at an age where they can do it, but they have a call. God has called them. How do we help those people learn at their own pace, wherever they are, and meet those requirements? How can we help in funding theological education, and how can we help holistically? They build the church that meets the regulations that the government wants. They get the proper governance. They meet the theological requirements and whatever else. That is what I feel called to do. And for GOA, even if today the government of Kenya was going to pass that bill, and they say we go that direction, GOA would not be affected because we have met all those requirements. And we did not meet those requirements because of the government or the pressure. Because of leadership.
Yes.
And we have met those requirements because, as I told you in the beginning, I did not want to create just any other ministry, or simply because I feel called, I jump into the street and I start preaching.
Yes.
I wanted to create a movement of a church that meets all the legal framework, that has the right governance. Anthony, we do an annual audit. It's GOA. Independent auditors who comes and we leave them in our office. They look at our books.
Yes.
They scrutinize the books. The board that is over me.
I wanted to go there.
The board that is over me, we have members, professional, highly qualified, who are not necessarily GOA members.
Who are like a private entity.
Yes, so that they can help us with their experience. We have some people there who are doing great things, like Andrew Moirore Guru is the chairman currently of GOA board. He is a big business entrepreneur. He is the one with the only warm water swimming pool in Nyandarua County, in Kinangop. Anthony, you want to have a man like Andrew in your board, if not for anything else, to tap into the knowledge and experience. How do you create a warm water swimming pool in Kinangop where people are dying because of cold, and not only create it, also get customers to come from the US and elsewhere to that hotel, dive in?
Yes, when I listened to that man, I came to realize he has an independent mind.
Yes. Now those are the people that I need in the board.
When I saw that you have a board, an independent board that can criticize you with love.
Yes.
Tell you when you are outside the track, when you are not meeting the threshold according to the vision. I want to, from that, I want to ask you a question. Is modern church doing enough when we come to helping their communities? Because there is a narrative outside there. They are saying that the church is minting, yeah, like making sure they are getting out everything, yeah, to the poor people, from the poor people.
Anthony, if you go back to where we started, and I repeat this again, there were enough churches in Nyandarua County.
Yes.
I would have just joined one of them.
Yes.
And as I said, I am that kind of a person who, from an evangelistic point, who was not really interested in becoming a bishop of a church or creating a church. But I saw the vacuum. I saw the gap.
Yes.
And the gap I saw is what you have just raised now. Because that problem was still there, even then, where the people look at a church as, some people look at a church, some people, let me say so, some people look at a church as a job.
Yes.
They were not fortunate like me to become a teacher where you are earning and you are succeeding, you have a salary, and you are doing well, you have the potential to be promoted and become whatever, because you are succeeding. They never had that opportunity, what Apostle Paul calls tent making, where you can do something for income and still continue. They were not fortunate enough to have their parents sacrifice, or even maybe they don't have them, to give them basic education so that they could, in addition to the calling that God has given them, intelligibly be able to look at the Bible, leave alone to study the word and break the word properly. So we have those people, and there are many. It is our continent. That's where we are coming from. We cannot deny and we cannot rule out that there are people whom God calls and gives a vision and ministry when they have little education or none. And some of those are the people who have led us to where we are now, where we have that narrative that you have talked about. Because you can only give what you have. If this person has never been to school, but God called them, they love the Lord, they are passionate, they started their ministry. Probably out of charisma, the ministry has grown. Or maybe out of something else, maybe somebody, God connected them with a financier who came and added the passion and the call with the financing, and they were able maybe to be in the media or to be somewhere where they have grown. We can't rule out that we have that. But that is also coming with a lot of danger. And the danger is, some of those people probably will be more visible, because probably they have the resources to make them visible. Some of those people, they may have that charisma that draws the people to them. So to separate the genuine and the fake is a big problem. To separate the real from the unreal, to separate the true from the false in the field of clergy and field of ministry and operations in Africa, not just Kenya. I'm talking about Africa because I'm the director of International Leadership Institute in all the countries that speak English and Swahili. So this is my experience and my lesson in the different nations. And not even as a presiding bishop of GOA of the 7 churches of the churches in the 7 countries, not even as a general secretary of all the Federation of Evangelical and Indigenous Churches in Kenya, which I represent, but in all those fields that I represent in the continent, in Kenya, I know we have genuine people whom God called, give them a passion, their ministry is thriving. And they are genuine. I also know we have fake. We have people who came to the ministry because it was the easiest thing to do. And some will even say it without knowing
Fear.
without knowing what they are saying.
Okay, okay.
They will say mimi nilikosa kitu ingine ya kufanya nikaingia kwa huduma or mimi sikusoma or I and then they are going to lay their ministry on the foundation of the fact that God does not call the qualified, which is true, but he qualifies those he calls, which is also true. And they are going now to take the line of God uses the blunt tools. But they are only there because that is they see it as a job. It's not a ministry, it's not a calling. But that is what they thought it was easy. Today, which is very unfortunate. And it's very sad for me to say that on camera as a man who is the director of those countries and federation and all that. But it's sad for me to say that today there are people who are in ministry in Africa to make money, to exploit and use every aspect of exploitation because they have nothing else to do. And they are making it and they are succeeding it. And unfortunately, they are able to pull a crowd which, when things go slightly the wrong direction, like Shakahora or any other, when things go slightly, the crowd they have pulled in the same measure of the huge crowds through their charisma or whatever other things they use, the damage is as huge as that. And therefore the damage control, it becomes very difficult because, and that's why now, on one side, people like me who are in a position of speaking for churches, like the general secretary of all those churches, sometimes we find ourselves in a very delicate balance because all that is true. They are dangers, and we have seen them, not once, not twice. Anthony, I have personally gone to convince some leaders somewhere in the country to let their children go to hospital. And I have gone there because people know me in the media, so they will call me from the media and say, oh, we listen to, please come to this village. We have a pastor there, the children have been locked. He has refused them to go to hospital because he is saying that God will heal them and they are dying. I've been called to go and intervene in my capacity as a national leader in a situation where a pastor is refusing their members to be counted during census because that is earthly, that is worldly, that is demonic.
Oh my God.
And I've been called there to go and intervene. I have found myself in those kind of situations. And the problem is, when I get there, that pastor may not look at me as the general secretary of the Federation of Churches. He may look at me as a fellow competitor because I am the bishop of GOA. So he's likely to look at me and say, oh, my church is bigger than his, or I have more, or he's jealous or something like that, which makes it very complicated then to be able to help a person like that. Obviously, we still help them eventually. But the point I'm making here to your question, the perspective and the narrative that the church exists to mint money and to exploit people. It's not a good narrative, but it is, to one extent, there are people who do that, and you cannot deny it. Sadly, bad news spread faster than good news. Yes. So those who do that have more visibility.
Especially
that is
in
why,
social media.
Yes, that's why Shakahora, now everybody in the world knows Shakahora. And some people think that Shakahora is the church. Even the government, when we speak to them, we tell them Shakahora is not church. So don't use that as an example of church, that churches are killing people, because that is not what church is. And there's only one question. When I was first invited, immediately when this happened, the first day before the news spread, when I was invited by Kenya Broadcasting Corporation television to go and do an interview like this, before even the news spread about Shakahora. They asked me, do you agree that now the government has enough basis to regulate churches because of this people are dying, and that was the question. And I said, I still don't agree. I still don't. My condolences to those who have died, apologies to those who have been affected by the insult of what church is meant to be, but I still do not believe that the government is the institution that exists to regulate churches, because I strongly believe that churches should regulate themselves, which is what we call umbrella bodies. That through umbrella bodies, the government can be able to get to know what churches are doing, and we can be able to stop some of those issues.
Yes, and even cross some of those churches.
Yeah, and I asked the question on that, and I have asked it before, again in many medias. If a rat comes to your house, and maybe the people in the United States might not understand about rats coming into the homes, or mice from outside, do you burn the house? Do you go and run and look for petrol and fire, and you burn the house, telling everybody, oh, there's a mice, there's a rat in my house, now I burn it? Or do you find traps, catch the mice, get the mice or the rat out of the house, or use whatever the things that you can use to poison the rat? That is the situation. When bad seeds and bad people infiltrate the church in Africa, and not only in Africa, because the same things even in the United States happen. I think we have a story here which is more or less like Shakahora, of how people died in this big advanced nation some time back in history. So when there is a problem like that, it is not it should not be used as a reason for closing down churches. What needs to happen is churches come together through the various umbrella bodies and put up structures that can prevent that from happening in the future.
Yes, we have only 5 minutes. And I remember the first time I came to visit you on a mission, we came to Karima. And when we came to Karima Girls, I remember you had a land. It was how many acres, 1 or 2?
My personal land?
Yes.
2 acres.
You had 2 acres.
Yes.
That you bought when you were working at Karima Girls.
Yes.
And I came to know, it came to my attention that you gave that land out. Now, how did your family took that on? Something like that.
Well,
because that is the only thing I knew you had.
Anthony, let me tell you, from the conversations that we are having of the motivation why people are doing church today or they are in ministry, and why I wanted to start GOA and do what I do today, that can tell you why I gave out my land or my house for that matter, because I just want lives to be changed.
Yes.
I just want lives to be changed. And as I want the lives to be changed, it came to a time when we had nothing in the ministry. We had nothing. You hear we were starting the church in Aba, and even raising 700 per month was a little problem. It was taking all the salary as a teacher from Kareithi, from myself, from principal, from a few other staff. You know the story that I worked for 9 years. I couldn't even afford a bicycle, and I was a teacher because my retro salary as a teacher is the same one I'm paying rent. I'm going to missions with the Nyandaro evangelistic team and all that. So through that, and that's how Miracle One story of the bicycle came. and then now we are not there. People will read about it. People will read about it in the book.
Yes.
Or
yes.
in the next interview if you organize it.
Yes.
But So it reached a point whereby now we were to go to Nairobi because the minister had expanded. Remember when God called us in 1991, he said clearly to us, Matthew 28, 19 and 20 is going to be your vision, is going to be your calling, is going to be your motivation. So, which clearly is the Great Commission. And we were clear, our mandate is to go. We were clear it is to go to the nations. We were clear we were going there to make disciples, not new converts. We teaching people to obey everything. We were very clear that God was going to be with us. Verse 20. We were very clear on our mandate. Now, when we started, it became necessary to move to Nairobi to be strategically located to reach the nations. And nations here do not only mean geographical boundaries like America and others. It also meant even people groups. Another topic for another day. People groups like Samburu, like Turkanas, people like that. People groups, unleashed, least reached, marginalized. That so those kind of people. The work that Reverend Peter Wagura is doing in Garisen, our bishop for North Coast, all the great work that he's doing there. Those people groups there, the Alma, the Bulges, all the people that he's reaching out there, and connecting with them with education, connecting them with an opportunity to serve and to learn. Girls in the schools, the PPIs that he's doing there, helping the children. And by the way, Peter Wagura is one of those whom I'm very, very proud about, with his wife Lydia. And the ordinations that you are telling me about, I was so excited to go ordain his wife Lydia as a reverend, and Pastor Esther there as pastor for children. So let me put it this way: to reach out, to do what God has called us to do today, we need people to support us. And I'm glad that you have brought me to this show. And I believe that there is one of the viewers who want to connect with us. And I would really want to encourage the viewers in your show to follow up what we do in social media. Bishop David Munyiri Thagana.
Yes.
The YouTube.
You're gonna put it there.
The Bishop David Munyiri Thagana, Facebook, YouTube, Glory Outreach Assembly. And for those who live in the US, if you can go to GOA USA website, goausa.org, and you want to sponsor a child, you will find there sponsor a child. Just click on that link, $39. We need 324 sponsorships. And Brightpoint for Children here in Georgia, it's an organization that helps us to process all that through GOA USA. And then they said that support to Kenya. So that is easy.
That's great, because it is accountability and integrity. And as I listen to you many times, and you talk about faithful stewardship.
Exactly, yes. And that is what has brought us this far, Anthony. So here in the US, it is possible to send our support to GOA USA. And it is in the website in dollars. And they receive it, and they are also a 501(c)(3) tax exempt organization. Anybody going to goausa.org will be able to find or Glory Outreach USA. If you load that check and you send it to the mailing address in Marietta, Georgia, and which is a PO Box 672 935 Marietta, Georgia, 3006. That is an email where we receive checks from people we don't know at the GOA USA, PO Box 672 935 Marietta, Georgia. 30006, or even going simply to the goausa.org, or even going to our bigger website of goaweb.org, or Bishop David Munyiri Thagana, all those channels through which one can reach us. And when we receive the support, we are capable of using it the way it should, because we have an accountability system here in the US. Even here in the US, we have a board of people that ask hard questions.
Yeah.
And
Who volunteers?
The volunteers.
Okay.
Volunteers. We, in fact, even in this trip, I am looking for volunteers who can just volunteer and make a team of people who can be organizing meetings for us, because sometimes it is very demanding for me to do like what I did yesterday, coming here. We are looking for volunteers, people who can be getting the stories from where we are and connecting them with a channel like this one, so that more people can read it. This past Sunday, I was really excited to see a church in Calhoun, in Georgia, called Crane Ita Community Church. They created a missions dashboard, whereby for GOA, they are our partners. They created a missions church dashboard where you can just touch the button on the screen, and then it takes you to read our GOA newsletters, which are monthly, to watch our YouTube stories in my channel or the ministry channel, and very interesting that you can still be able to click there, and it takes you to sponsor a child right from where you are, right from your phone, without necessarily having to have a child sponsorship packet like this. These packets are good for people who wants to see and touch, and then filling a form like this and leaving it with our Marietta people. So we are a accountable organization. Here we are Glory Outreach Assembly is a 501(c) organization with an independent board, which receives, we have volunteers, even who do our accounting and give people tax exemptions for free where they do that. We have very dedicated people who just help. Then in Nairobi, we have a team of 14 people, including a strong financial office there of people who are helping us to meet the independent auditors and pass. Actually, we have just completed the audit for this last financial year. Our financial year starts on 1st of March every year, and on 1st of April, and ends on 31st of every year. And we have the kind of board that you saw, which has even members who are not necessarily GOA members.
Yes,
some are from Anglican Church, like Wakiri, the legal team that we have there. Lillian is an Anglican, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Kidinji is another advocate in the same board, a lecturer in the University of Nairobi for 13 years, with also his form cost-wise for survey. People like Damales, who have specialized in tax. People like Dennis, who have specialized in finance. We have a board. People like Reverend Fred. Allow me to talk about Reverend Fred, this, because maybe the viewer here might want to help Fred. Fred is a young man who came to GOA to do internship from Kenyatta University. And that's another area that we can talk another time, that GOA provides internships. And then we mentor and nurture those young people to become great people. One of them is Fred. The other one is Paul Maina Mwangi, who is the director of sports, whom God has used to introduce new sports in the country, and they have been adopted by the government. He just completed hosting an African championships for floorball.
Oh,
yes.
Talk about sports.
Sports we haven't talked.
Evangelism,
That's the area where again God has given us breakthrough with the young people. Remember, I told you, I was not just creating another church. I wanted a church that is relevant, especially to the 72% of the Kenyan population who are below 35 years. People who have found the church to be irrelevant. Just a place you go on Sunday and crap and do things as usual. They can even tell you how the program will look like next Sunday. People where the youth are not, their gifts are not recognized. Personally, I wanted to create a movement which makes the church relevant to all the ages, particularly the youth below 35 years, so that when we lead them to Christ, by having programs where they can use their creativity, like sports, and we are huge on sports. Our teams are doing great. We tell them, we share with them, and what we want is to discover what their gifting is. And then we develop the gifts they have. And then we deploy those gifts wherever they are needed. We are motivated by our 3Ds mission. We lead them to Christ. We discover, first D, their talent and gifting. We help them develop it through mentorship and coaching. And then once we have developed it, we deploy it to where it is needed. We have deployed some of the gifts of these children to play in the national teams, like the Harambee Starlet. One of our girls from Githurai just connected through our sports. Now she's playing in the national team of Harambee Starlet. Others are going to national events. Even here in the States, yes.
Even skating.
Yes, we brought the game from Switzerland and Sweden, Europe, through Paul. And now it is, we are the champions in Africa, and we hosted it last month through Paul's, and another one called Lolbo, where we are the world champions. And all these events are things that are meant to creatively respond to the Great Commission. That is the
and
point.
This is church.
Creatively respond. That is church. Creatively respond. That's why I told you.
Holistic.
Yes, we do not want to just create another.
Just be spiritual.
No. We do not want to be, when people think of church, they just think of Sunday. No. We wanted people to think of church as an everyday, every place lifestyle.
Every
Every day, every time, every age.
Every talent.
Every talent.
Every skill.
Influencing the 7 mountains of influence. Be it education, be it business, be it family, be it whatever it is. That is what we needed. Right now, you know what I need, Anthony? I'm looking for business people. Business people who will help.
That is another chapter. I think what we're going to do,
yes,
we're going to talk with the director.
Yes.
If we find favor with him,
yes,
he's going to give us, we need time just to talk now.
Yes.
Because you have a lot. You just have a well of wisdom. You actually, I'm gonna sit down again and listen to this interview, because
thank you.
I had many new words, many meaning with things like criticizing with love, harsh, being hard in love. I never knew there is something like that. You can tell something hard truth, but with love. All those things, touching lives, changing lives, giving your own land, which that was your only family. You could only, it was like Thagana's inheritance. You give it out.
Not only so my rad, Anthony.
I know you have
my first car. Whom did I give my first car?
Yes, your first car. I remember.
I gave it to Justice Chege, who is today the manager of Children's Home.
Yeah.
I gave him my first car. My second car I gave to Pastor Josephat Moremi of Mukuru Church in Nairobi. It is not, this life is not about material things. This life is about investing for eternity. We invest our lives. We invest our material things. That's why I said, and I repeat it again, that I feel like personally I exist to connect resources from all over the world to the needs, particularly in the continent of Africa. Next month, I will take the gospel to some of the places you can't believe.
Where?
I will take the gospel to Somaliland. This will be my second time there. Next month, I will also go to Djibouti. I don't want to talk about those trips, but let me just say the first time I went there, it's only the prayers that saved me and rescued me. We have the opportunity within the 27 nations and beyond of the continent of Africa to go north and to take the gospel to the persecuted church, to those people who are worshiping underground. Those are the people that I will be empowering next month. All this can be supported by people by going to GOA website, either goausa.org, writing a check or clicking a donation.
It is on the huddle. You can see it. It is on your screen.
And anybody who wants to reach me, I have no problem giving you my number. You can just call me here at 470-905-9206. That's my US phone. I carry it with me. Anybody who would want to call me, we can talk.
Yes.
But you can also connect with me through...
It's on the screen.
All right, thank you very much. And you can also connect with me. It looks like our show is coming to the end, and I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I am only getting started to tell you the story.
Yes, I know that. That is why we talk with the director and make sure that we have another session before you leave. And we have 324 kids, children. They need your sponsorship. They need you. $39 only per month for a whole year, or either 2 years, 4 years, or 10 years. God bless you. 324 children today. They are in 8 homes in Kenya that is led by our bishop, Thagana. Kindly contact him. Everything is on your screen. Connect yourself with the real need. God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Amen.
I have so many friends that I did not greet in America, but in Arizona, in where many.
I think what we'll do, we'll have another session.
Yes.
Where I'll add few people.
Yes.
You can have a conversation.
Thank you.
And talk more, because I can see you have a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, there is a very new. Thank
Asante
you
sana. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Now the man needs to take our picture together so that we can right here on this studio.
It was also
yes. Motto. Meza wetu ni lazima nimbebe kwa screen Thank you. Oh, that's good. That's good. Thank you.
Yeah, you.